The hour I first believed, through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the AfroMattt Show. This is episode 222, and I've sort of put this off as long as I could. The podcast, obviously, this one is going to be heavy. It's about, it's in the title. It's about the Charlie Kirk assassination, regarding the events, some of the underlying theories out there and stuff, and genuinely, my thoughts on the whole situation for what it's worth, coming from, just a normal, I think I'm a pretty middle of the road kind of dude, and, we're, this has been, his assassination was Wednesday. I'm recording this on Sunday. I've had some time to think about it. I've had some time to, look at the reactions online. And, the scariest thing, first off, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. And I hope his family is doing well. As good as they can do. I hope that they can push through it, or make it out as healthy as you can make it out of something like that. I saw the video. Everyone, I'm sure, listening has seen the video. If you haven't seen the video, it might be the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. It might be one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life, and it was scarring. It was traumatic. I think everyone's kind of working through trauma in their own way. And, on this podcast, we like to be funny sometimes, and funny is how I deal with trauma. But this is like kind of beyond. It's shocking to a point of sort of numbness. And, I've never seen a Charlie Kirk video. I've maybe seen one or two clips, like 1 minute clips on TikTok. I know that he did the tents outside, and he had invited students to debate, and they would bring up points, and he would try to counterpoint, and then, hand off the mic to someone else. It was pretty an open, honest discussion, sort of like a Play-Doh situation, or, you're just asking questions pretty much, and back and forth. And much like Plato was put to death he was forced to drink the hemlock for disturbing or corrupting the youth, much the same as Charlie Kirk. Although he didn't have an option, and he was not forced to drink hemlock. It was an execution. There's nothing more to say except for this was an execution on everyone's phone. Everyone could see it. The close-up footage is horrific. And I want to say this, right off the top. I've had a lot of time to see everyone's reactions online and stuff. And if your first reaction to this event is not horror or terror, or disgust, there are some things that you need to reevaluate in your life. If you are, we'll just, there there is a subsect of human being right now that are openly, publicly celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, and I want to say that they're all bots, and I don't think that they're all bots. The reason I think that they're all bots is because I don't think a human could be that heartless. But I've been proven wrong, and this, if anything, this has been a huge eye opener for me. Maybe I was naive, but I didn't know how evil, hateful, and like vindictive, and just full of the darkest, vile. It's just like they're full of all this hatred, and it's disgusting. It is disgusting, the things I've seen online. I had to go on my Instagram and remove probably 12 people. I only follow like 100 people. So, but it was people that I've talked to at one point, maybe went to high school with them, normal people, normal everyday people, run of the mill, and they're posting things like karma's a bitch with a shrug emoji. And someone posted the quote that he had, and we'll talk about that later, and this is it for me. I've never seen a Charlie Kirk video. I'm sure I share some ideas with him. I'm sure, like everyone, I'm sure there are some things I agree with him, some things I don't. I'm sure that abortion, I agree with him, probably. Freedom of speech, I probably agree with him. There's probably a lot that I agree with him on. But even if I disagreed with everything, I wouldn't want or relish or gloat in his public execution. Anyone who's seen the video, you can't justify that to me. What I think is happening, and I keep on thinking about, like, the first thing that sometimes I'll get like something bouncing around in my head when something happens. And I just kept on thinking about this quote, and I don't even know where this quote came from, but it's from, I had to look up where the quote was from, but it's from not from the Lord of the Rings, it's from Game of Thrones. And it was just bouncing around in my head the whole day. I had to go home early that day. I couldn't work after seeing that. I couldn't go back to work. I literally couldn't. How do you go back to work after seeing someone? I don't even want to describe. He was shot in the neck, and it was violent, and it was. It's something that everyone, I think, has to live with and deal with on their own and figure out how they move forward and stuff. So, but going to work after that is impossible. So, I left work, and I was thinking about this quote. It's the night is dark and full of terrors. And that was the only part of the quote I knew. And I think that the reason that my subconscious was telling me that quote is that out there in the world are, hidden away in the darkness, are some of the most evil and full of hate people that exist out there. And it is full, and those are the terrors that are out there. It's dark. The night is dark and full of terrors. But the rest of the quote, actually, I think is where maybe my subconscious was trying to bring me, and it goes like this. The night is dark and full of terrors. The day bright and beautiful and full of hope. Winter and summer, good and evil. And the day is bright and beautiful and full of hope is kind of where I think that a lot of us have to try to bring ourselves is realizing that there are evil people out there, but they are exposing themselves. They have been consumed by a dark entity, has a cloud. I think about it literally as a cloud that weighs on them and is above them constantly, that they have to deal with and carry around with them. And it's a cloud that is always hanging over their head, and it makes them angry, and it makes them frustrated, and it makes them hateful, and it makes them it rots them from the inside. These people are rotting. If you're man, it's truly vile. Some of the things I've seen people post, like, I mean, just the most vile shit. And I don't even. It's really bad, but I mean, they're making. I saw someone on Twitter making a 3D printed doll of the assassination. That's a level of soul decay I've never even thought possible. And if anything, this has proven, this is like a veil has been lifted from, like, there was a great fog on all of the land, and the fog has been lifted to show and unmask those who are truly rotted to the core. And it's like Scooby-Doo. All the masks are off. The people that are posting and saying in celebration of the assassination, these are masks off. And you can see the decay of their soul and the state that they are living in. The hate that festers inside of them, and it cooks and it boils, and and they have to live with that, and it only makes the cloud above them darker. And it is, and I'm not some sort of I'm not a saint or anything, but I have enough of a moral compass where I'm not going to celebrate in the public execution of a man who was who stood by his beliefs and gave a platform. He gave a platform, a spotlight, a chance to anyone who wanted to debate him. The mic was open to pretty much anyone. I don't know if there was rules or anything, or if you had to sign up ahead of time, but I don't think they were vetted or anything like that. It was, hey, come debate me. I'm open. Free speech. This is the Platonic method. We're just asking questions. Back and forth. We're figuring things out together. I'm going to defend my point. You defend your point. We posted it on YouTube. He was a YouTuber. At the end of the day, he was a YouTuber who was, I mean, if you want to boil it down to it, he was making content to share with people. And his content was politically, I mean, yes, it was politically charged, but he was just practicing free speech. It's not like he was a murderer. He wasn't a rapist. He wasn't a killer. He wasn't a pedo. He wasn't any of these things. And he's still, I mean, he was a father. He was a husband, and he was murdered, executed for the words that he said. And a lot of this I'm just trying to work through myself this is and there's just so many thoughts I have, because trauma is necessary for a controlling elite to control you. They need to have a being in trauma disassociates, and disassociation is what the elite like to see. It makes you easier to control, easier to compartmentalize yourself, easier to make you do things that you don't like when you disassociate. When the things happening aren't happening to you and you disassociate, it's easier for them to control. You become lazy and unwatchful of your own, what you're doing with your time and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a mass trauma ritual. If you're celebrating his death, you need to study your heart. You need to reevaluate your soul, and you need to get a grip with reality. It is, I mean, it's really troubling to see some of the things that are, some of the things that are out there. And, you know, it's scary. It's just scary to see some of the things that people are posting out there. And I know some people are getting fired now, so now there's like a whole brigade of people tattling on other people, and tattling is gay, and ratting is gay. I don't appreciate any of that, but it's, I mean, at a certain point, it's, and they're like, oh, it's freedom of speech. Shouldn't I have the freedom to celebrate people dying? And it's like, yes, but also you're exposing yourself as a horrible human being. And I think maybe people should know, maybe not your boss, but people that you live with or people that you work with should know that you're not a good person. And there's a quote going around of Charlie Kirk, and people are using this sort of in like a glib way. I think glib is the word. It's sort of a gloat. A gloat maybe is the better word. It's the quote says, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. And they're posting this as some sort of like own on Charlie Kirk. And I mean, when I see that, I don't see an own. I see a man standing for what he believes in, and not only just standing for his right to own a gun, to protect his other God-given rights, unalienable rights. We've talked about this before. These are rights given, and this is how the Constitution says it. These are rights that God has given you that others cannot take away. You are imbued with these rights. As a human being, you are imbued with these rights. Second Amendment is there to protect them. So these are things the government doesn't give you the right of free speech. That is a gift from the heavens, who, even if you don't believe in God, whatever master being is out there, they imbued you with the right to speak your mind. If you can think it, you should be allowed to say it. Now, I believe this true for anyone, and that's why I'm not fully on board with the firings and like ratting out people, because you should be allowed to say what you, and I think that they should, because it's an unmasking. They're tattling on themselves as being bad people. When you give people the freedom of speech, the way that they use it is often telling. So I like the freedom of speech, but them trying to use this, saying that it's like karmic justice, that he was shot in the head or shot in the neck, that they're trying to own him with his own quote. When I see that quote, I see there's maybe nothing more patriotic than dying, protecting, and standing on your beliefs. I mean, he was standing on business. That's all you can hope. It's patriotic. They may have died the most patriotic death, dying for his beliefs and staying firm in the Constitution and what this country is built on. He was maybe the most American death I've ever witnessed in my life. And you know, I'm kind of scared, because I don't want this to be any sort of like rise up situation, protocol, whatever. I don't want this to go code orange, where everyone is taking arms and trying to kill, and then it's like who shoots the most of their opponents wins. I want this to get escalated. We don't need an escalation. And actually, so far, it's been good. We haven't burned down Minneapolis. That's a bit of a George Floyd bit, but but it still stands. I mean, there's not looting. There's no burning of buildings. There's no mass riots. They haven't shut down major cities. There's been vigils, which seem pretty chill, church sermons, and silent prayer throughout the country. And so I think that that's probably the way to go about it. It was a very Martin Luther King. I mean, Martin Luther King himself was assassinated. JFK was assassinated. I mean, these people, when these people are assassinated, it's very strange. That's always it's usually for like their beliefs and what they stand for, and we still don't know why this person was assassinated, or why this person assassinated Charlie, but we'll get into it in a bit. And also, I mean, Charlie Kirk was a pretty moderate person. Like, people are like, oh, he's a fascist, he's a right-wing fascist Nazi. I'm like, I listened to some of his stuff, I'm like, this guy's kind of moderate. I mean, wait till you see Nick Fuentes. Like, that's, you guys think that's crazy, out of pocket? You guys aren't gonna like where all of his viewers end up. Like, where do you think they're going to go? You think they're going to go to your side? I doubt it. Something tells me that you guys may have lost every election forever. One mention of Charlie Kirk and it's over for any type of situation. And I mean, yeah, it's really just, and I'm not laughing at, I'm laughing at how absurd this whole situation is. And Albert Camus from the myth of Sisyphus and The Stranger, when things are absurd, the only thing that you can do is laugh. And it's absurd at how bitter some of these people are. It's truly, I mean, mind-boggling. Yeah. So let's get into the actual stuff. I mean, if you tell your parents you love them. If you are a parent, tell your children you love them. Tell your friends that aren't posting celebrating the death, tell them that you appreciate them for being good people. And tell the people that have been posting celebrating Charlie, all I've said to these people is, I hope you get better, because they are sick in the head. These people are sick in the head. It's like they have a disease. It's a disease of their soul. It's a disease of their head. And the only thing that you can say to these people that they can understand, you can't reason with these people. You can't even argue. You can't say to someone who is celebrating the death of someone that they don't like, you can't find reasonable ground with that person. They are not a reasonable human being. They are not reasonable. They have proven with their words and sometimes with their actions that they are not reasonable. You cannot reason with them. All you can say to these people, and don't get into fights with anyone, don't get into fights and don't get into verbal debates or whatever. All you have to say is, I hope you get better, and just walk away. And hope that one time, if they were your friend or someone that you know, maybe they'll come around. Maybe it'll be 5 years, maybe it'll be 10 years, and maybe you've changed their lives. Maybe they go and they self-reflect and realize that they've been leading a bitter and verbally violent life that has done nothing but harm to themselves and others. And then they come back to you, or maybe they never come back to you, but you know that, but they know deep down inside that you changed their lives, and they would like to say something, but maybe they're embarrassed. Maybe that's the only thing that you can hope for, is that 5 years they look back on themselves and are embarrassed. And you can only say, I hope you get better, because I mean, you can't reason with these people. You can't reason with these people. These people are solidly celebrating an execution of the most violent kind. Okay, let's continue. So we're going to talk about some of the theories surrounding, once again, I mean, this is a kind of a conspiracy podcast. We try to do comedy and we try to do keep it entertaining and whatnot, but this is times like these. It's hard to make light and be jolly. It's hard to have a jolly perspective when people that, and the scary part is that share a lot of the same beliefs that you do. Like, would these people celebrate if I died? If my podcast had 50,000 viewers, and would they celebrate if I died? It's truly bizarre. But let's start with the conspiracies. So, it's no mystery that Charlie Kirk, during his life, was he was kind of like a pseudo Zionist Christian dude who was for Israel. And the theory is recently Charlie Kirk had kind of a heel turn on Israel. Here's the clip. Let's see. Let me see if I can find the clip. I uploaded them all. One sec. Here it is. This is the most recent, one of the recent videos from Charlie Kirk.
That Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence.
People are citing this as the reason, this heel turn from sort of Christian Zionist to questioning Epstein, Mossad, Israel, could have gotten him killed. This right here could have been the reason why he was killed.
Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
So, concerning to say the least. That was a month ago. So a month ago he starts a bit of a heel turn, and I think heel turn comes from wrestling when someone will come out and they'll be like the favorite, and then their heel turn is maybe they boom uppercut their teammate and then take him out and then tap him in WWE wrestling. And it's like the crowd goes wild because it's like no one saw this coming. No one saw him becoming evil. But I think that's where the term heel turn comes from is WWE wrestling. interesting that a lot of things come from WWE wrestling. You got Vince McMahon's wife in the White House right now, which is interesting, but besides the point. So immediately after Charlie Kirk is executed, assassinated, however you want to say it, I think of it more as an execution because it seems like he seems to have died a martyr's death, standing for what he believes in. You know, so shortly after the death, Benjamin Netanyahu, our favorite Jay, chimes in and says Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom, a lion-hearted friend of Israel. He fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, the visit will not take place. We lost an incredible human being. His boundless pride in America and his valiant belief in free speech will leave a lasting impression. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. So, from what I know, Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't normally speak out on deaths like this. So it's strange. And then he tweeted again, and he said the collusion between this is actually someone else. This is Itamar Ben-Gvir. The collusion between the global left and the radical Islam is the greatest danger to humanity today. So they're trying to blame this on radical Islam. So I'm immediately thinking in my head, first thought is false flag. So who did they find to patsy out this killing? Yes, everyone place your bets now. Drum roll, drum roll. Yes. Oh, let's play what's the one where it goes do 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 do? Is that Jeopardy? What is so your options are, was it a right-wing extremist who's very pro gun control? Was it B, a moderate, normal human? Or was it C, a sexually androgynous young male who has strange connections to BlackRock? Now, I'll let you get your answers in, but I'm gonna cut them short. It's C. So the person they found is a kid named Tyler Robinson, age 22. So the first day they arrested this original guy that they arrested, and the picture was going around of this boomer. He was on the ground. They had his head pushed down to the ground. They were carrying him out. His pants were down. That guy his name is George Zinn. So George Zinn is the original person they arrested. Now, remember George Zinn for later because he is very strange. That is George Zinn. Look him up yourself. Strange. Very strange. Why was he there? Whatever. But the next day, they show the photos that they have from the university of a kid with glasses and a hat walking around the campus. 2 days later, I believe on Friday, his father, Tyler Robinson's father, calls in with a tip to the tip line on his son, tells his son to turn himself in, or he does it himself. And Tyler is taken into questioning. They find that matches everything, height, weight, everything. So most likely was him. So he comes from, a Republican family. He wrote things on the bullet casings, kind of just weird like Reddit stuff. He said, "What's this?" Notices bulges owo, which is an anime, sort of like an anime thing, I think, where it's like a kind of a cute thing. Another one said, "Hey, fascist, catch," and that's up, right. So that's up arrow, right arrow, down, down, down. I'm not too sure what that means. Maybe that's a combination for like a Hadouken or something. I don't know. But then another bullet had Bella Ciao, Chow, Ciao, Bella Ciao, which is the lyrics of a song that Italy used World War II against fascists. And then another one said, "If you read this, you are gay." So he was a bit of a like a Reddit 4chaner maybe kind of guy. There's theories that he was a groiper, which is Nick Fuentes, and the theory there are multiple theories for why he's shooting. Some think he's part of the what are called the Groiper Wars, which is Nick Fuentes, sort of the anti-Israel right versus the pro-Zionist right. So that's sort of the Groiper Wars happening on 4chan, which I didn't know was a thing, but some people theorize that he is kind of like a warring faction of the right. But all of the fascist stuff is anti-fascist. I mean, he said, "Catch this, fascist," or "Hey, fascist, catch," Bella Ciao, anti-fascist Italian stuff. Comes out, everyone's like, everyone on the left. I mean, first off, anytime there's a shooting, everyone kind of holds their breath because everyone wants to see which side it is. And I mean, obviously. So then this came out, and they're like, "Well, he's part of a Republican family. He's part of a Republican family. He was trained with guns at an early age. He had access to guns. He was right wing." And then just recently, a roommate shared with authorities, chatting app Discord involved contact Tyler, discussed a rifle wrapped around a tire and gray bullet scope. The governor said they found a .30 caliber bolt action rifle wrapped in a towel in the woods. So with so a recent thing came out too with Tyler is his roommate, I think, is a trans person. I don't know if it's male to female or the other way, crisscross. Let me see the quote that came out. Someone said, so these are quotes from people that know him. Phone interview on Friday. One of Tyler Robinson's high school friends, who asked to remain anonymous, he was pretty left on everything and was the only member of his family that was really leftist. The rest of his family were really hard Republicans, that friend said. Around sophomore year, the friend said Robinson became more extreme in his political views and would always be ranting and arguing with them. The friend said that they played video games together a lot in high school and noted the bullet engraving in the arrows was a reference to Helldivers 2, which Wright mentioned. He said that the arrows specifically were a reference to calling in a big bomb that exists, called the 50 kilogram, the 500 kilogram. I knew it had to have been some sort of gun or game reference. I knew that he, Robinson, had strong political views, but I never thought he would get to go near this far. Exclusive. This came in from the news. Exclusive. Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson, lived with his transgender partner. The individual, who is a male transitioning to female, is fully cooperating with the FBI. Sources tell me the FBI had texts and other communications between Robinson and that individual that helped the FBI authorities solidify that Robinson was indeed the shooter. So, left, obviously. I mean, doesn't get much more obvious than that. So, you don't have to have a PhD to know this guy was kind of a freak. So, my current theory going into this is that, yes, lots of things end up being Israel, but I think that this one was Israel, Mossad. I said that to someone, and they said that they send a GIF of someone putting on a tinfoil hat. But I do think the Mossad maybe had a part to play. It would make sense. First off, the shot was pretty impressive. 200 yards. Some say it's easy. Some say it's hard. Some say the bullet that the guy had would have done way more damage. A 30-06 bullet would have. I mean, the video would have been way more gruesome than it was, and it was gruesome. And it would have made a boom instead of a crack. There's a very specific difference. A crack is indicative of a smaller caliber rifle. A boom is what a 30-06 would have done if it was shot. Travels sonic boom, and more of a crack when shooting a lower caliber weapon. And in all the videos, there was an audible crack, not a boom. And it could be the speakers or whatever. I have seen footage of a 30-06 shot into gelatin, and that shit is insane. So I don't think that the gun that they found in the woods was the gun that was used. They're saying it was. I don't think that the caliber lines up. I just don't think it makes sense. But the God, my cat is annoying me right now. Gotta put him up. Yeah. So the first is the gun. I don't think that it was. I don't think that was the gun that was used. The one that they found. This has, so the kid was on top of Tyler Robinson was on top of the roof running, caught multiple cameras sprinting off into the distance, and it's an impressive shot to make from there. At least that's what a lot of people say. But with a 30-aught, I mean, some say the shot's super easy. I really don't know how to judge it. I've never shot any sort of like sniper rifle. I've only shot a pistol, so I don't know. But Tim Dillon interviewed a man who believes that this was Israeli Mossad intervention. So here's a little clip of that.
His head. I mean, let's not forget about that.
But I mean, just to clarify, he doesn't fear for his life because of Ireland.
I mean, I've been told, yes, that Israel is a major source of concern for Trump. I mean, think about it. What would happen
this
if
is
the
our
president
ally.
just, if he
That's why I'm
suspended arms to,
confused. Yeah.
if he suspended arms to a country that carries out assassinations all across the globe, that specializes in assassinations, that has an entire wing of its intelligence services that conducts assassinations, including with household goods like pagers, would you not be scared? So yes, Trump is scared. And what I learned from this source, who is a Trump insider, someone who talks to who talks to people in the Oval Office, people close to Trump, is that during one of Netanyahu's many visits to the U.S. this year, some figures in his retinue, Israeli agents, placed electronic devices on emergency response Secret Service vehicles. The Secret Service found them and they reported this to the White House. You know, these would be emergency response vehicles.
So, I mean, there's more parts to this when he's talking about the kid. Let me see here. Talks about Palestine. It's a good interview.
Later, when Charlie Kirk was at the front of the church, he was struck in the neck by a sniper's bullet. And then Ben Shapiro, within 24 hours, said, well, he's going to go on his own campus tour and pick up the bloody microphone that Charlie Kirk left for us. So it
is kind of disgusting how Ben Shapiro, doesn't need to be said, is Jewish. is absorbing the space and taking over where Charlie left off, when I think should be Nick Fuentes. I haven't watched a single Nick Fuentes videos, but that's the obvious sort of progression of this is you see someone get executed live, you become more extremist. Maybe that's what Israel is doing, because Israel is currently conducting a mass sacrifice ritual in Palestine. Some call it a genocide. It is most certainly a genocide, but it also is a mass sacrifice, child sacrifice ritual. They are trying to bring upon the end times. So Israel is trying to separate America and have us fight and create chaos, sow chaos as fast as possible. They want things to end because they want to go to the promised land. I don't know why they want to now. Maybe because they realize shit's pretty tough out here. But Israel is trying to bring about end times. I truly think Israel is trying to do everything they can to ruin the world. And that's just what they're up to. That's just their kind of like main thing. I think they're trying to like maybe rebuild like tabernacle stuff. It might be third tabernacle stuff. I don't know. I really don't know much about Jewish culture or end times signifiers. Something with like I think a red heifer. I think maybe something in the menorah. I think I don't know what book they read. The Torah, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, there's these strange hand signs, which is evidence of collusion, which is evidence of a professional sort of hit operation. There's these two guys that are standing behind Charlie, and they throw up weird hand signs. Anytime you see, I mean, it's kind of disturbing. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the video real quick. All right, I found a video. This is a re-upload of someone. Yeah.
Being given.
So here's the first one. Touches his hat.
Dude, Charlie Kirk's assassin.
Here, I'm gonna mute this guy. Touches his hat, touches his nose immediately afterwards, and then touches his pocket. So, all normal things. And then the next one, the guy in the black is kind of the most strange, jerky reaction. He like does a right hand punch, locks in, taps his bicep, and then does he tap his hat? Taps his bicep, and then. So this guy touches his hat, touches his nose, has his camera, and then the guy in black does touches his bicep and then gives like a little wave. I mean, kind of normal stuff, but also strange that, and the video cuts off because immediately after both of those touches, the shot is taken. So, strange, yes. That's all I will say. Do I think that the Mossad killed him because he was turning against them and their Zionist idea and propaganda? Yes. I will say yes. That is my current idea. Do I think that the kid shot? Maybe. But do I think he was part of Mossad? Maybe. I will say that. We've got that's sort of a JFK situation. Like, do I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was a shooter? Maybe. Now, do I think he was the only shooter? Absolutely not. Do I think he had connections with people that wanted JFK dead? Absolutely. That's the situation we're at right now with this guy. So, I told you I would get back to it. We're going to talk about George Zinn. George Zinn is the first guy that they arrested. He's the boomer on the ground. Everyone saw the picture. And this is interesting. This is Memories of 9/11 featuring George Zinn. This was posted. Interview with George Zinn.
Everything that happened.
George Zinn was on background of 9/11 during 9/11.
An ending injury. And so I'm ready to go leave the hotel on September 11th, early.
Very interesting. I mean, I always find it interesting, and I'm not pointing fingers or making any accusations here to George Zinn, but it's very interesting when someone shows up at a major assassination and was also at 9/11 and was also, I think, called in something with the Boston bombing. This guy's a bit of a, I mean, he just gets around. Maybe he just gets around. We got to check where he was at during Donald Trump's speech where he almost got shot. Now, I was thinking about that too. Imagine if everyone saw, everyone in the world, because it would have been this times probably 100,000. If it was Donald Trump, we saw gruesomely murdered on live television. The celebrations would have been bigger. The grief would have been bigger. The response would have been bigger. I mean, I just keep on thinking about the timeline that we're in. If you believe in that kind of stuff, I think we dodged maybe a civil war with that little adjustment of Donald Trump's neck, of his head, and it hit his ear. I mean, I don't even want to imagine what would have happened if it was Donald Trump that we witnessed. It would have been chaos. I mean, right now, that what we're up to right now would have been a completely different world. I think even still, a year later would have been different if Donald Trump had been shot leading up to his inauguration in such a gruesome manner. The gruesome and violence of it being on video, and that one was televised too, would have led, this Charlie Kirk is so impactful that they are chanting Charlie Kirk's name in Korea. They're chanting Charlie Kirk. They are chanting Charlie Kirk in China right now, which is, well, I guess Korea. And I don't know what a Korean accent is, but the impact is global. I know England right now is marching for their own thing. They have their own issues, which is mostly immigrant related. I've talked about this before. England has been pretty much slowly overran with, I would never call it an infestation because that sounds like really racist, but I will say it's just a growing issue that that they're trying to deal with in England in their own way. They have like 100,000 people doing this giant march, and it's really, really great to see. People are saying that it is racist to try to kick people out of your country who are not like you. You know, whatever, I don't really care. But yeah, this is George Zinn. I'm not going to play the whole video because it's insanely boring.
At the Marriott Hotel, and we could oversee.
But he was at 9/11, and he was also the first person arrested at the shooting, which is strange. George Zinn. This was posted. Let's see. Arrested in Utah. What's a gadfly? I don't know what a gadfly is. People are saying he's a gadfly. Maybe that means he just likes to get in trouble. George Zinn, Utah man, detained in viral footage after Charlie Kirk assassinated. A well-known gadfly, political gadfly, is known in political circles as a strange man who frequently appears at events and almost as frequently is tossed out. Almost every political event you can think of, there was always George somewhere in the background listening. Now, how strange does that sound? Does that sound like maybe an operative who's ready to spring into action? Possibly. I'm not throwing any shade. I'm not putting anything on this guy. I'm just saying it's very strange. He also screamed, I think he screamed Yeah, that's right. I did it. I'll do it again. Something like that. He's a person who can be odd and has those odd behavior challenges. But by and large, he's a gadfly, more of a gadfly than anything else. He said he had shot him, but I don't know. One officer told the crowd, which was under the impression Zinn was the shooter, and yelled and swore at him as he went by. So if he was... let's just live in a world. Oh, his most alarming arrest came in 2013 when he threatened to bomb Salt Lake City Marathon. He spent a year in prison. Interesting. So let's just live in a world where this guy is some sort of Mossad operative. If he does get arrested, he is immediately released. If you are intelligence, we saw this happen literally with the guy who was arrested last week in Las Vegas attempting to solicit a minor for prostitution. So, and he was a major Israeli, he was the cybersecurity guy and was released immediately back to Israel. So it's not hard to believe that if this guy was an operative, they would say, yeah, immediately release him. It also happened with Jeffrey Epstein. The guy investigating Jeffrey Epstein was told that he was intelligence and not to investigate further. Just strange. It's just very strange. So I don't know if he's shot him or if he knows something, but it's all very concerning. It's all very concerning. But I mean, I guess that does segue into some other news, which is you could easily oh, here's the video. Here's a picture of the guy where he was. So that's George Zinn being arrested there. Here he is on the ground with his pants down. I wanted to play a couple memorials before we end the Charlie stuff. Play a couple memorial videos I thought were touching.
See, Charlie, this is why I can't believe in God. How could you believe in God after this? I do believe that we have free will. And that individual woke up with the free will and used that free will to murder. That's evil. And we know it's evil because we are appealing towards a transcendent truth standard. You only know something is evil if you have good to compare it to. You only know something is right because you have a standard of right. But if you don't believe in God, then you say evil's no problem. But if you are upset with it, you actually are implying that you believe in God. You might be angry at God. You might be wrestling with God. You might be mad at God. You might think that God is unjust. That's a completely different thing than not believing in God. And remember, Christianity is the answer to the problem of evil. Evil exists, but it's...
Yeah. I'm not really a big Christian guy, but you know, things like this really do put in perspective that there is a good, there's an objective good, and there is an objective evil out there. And I don't think that can exist without some sort of like moral perfect standard to judge it against, you know. And I like this quote from Charlie. There's also one other one that I wanted to play. This is in memoriam. Here we go. Let's play this one.
How do you want to be remembered?
If I die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for
for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith.
I don't know if you know this, but everyone does. It's important to remind yourself of that you face God, the judge, and he's going to list everything you did wrong in your life. For those of you that have not given your life to Christ, I can tell you it is the most freeing, liberating thing that a human being can possibly do. The most important thing that you can do.
Yeah, it's powerful. All right, sorry, I'm back. I had to take out the dog, and I know what you're thinking. Since when do you have a dog? My girlfriend was coming home from work like 3 days ago and found a dog. And the dog was all alone. It's a mother of dogs. We don't know where the family was. We posted on Facebook, everything. Could never find anyone. So now we have a dog. Actually, one person took the dog and then kept it for a day and said, you guys got to take this dog back. So now we have a dog, an Australian, an Aussie. I don't know what the difference is, but it's an Aussie. And she's a good girl, but I've never had a dog before, so I don't know what I'm doing. I spent all day today. That's why I'm sweaty and out of breath. I've been digging holes for fence posts to build like a little gated corral area for it. So I don't know. That being said, where were we on the Epstein stuff? So a ton of Epstein stuff just leaked. I guess I don't know if it was leaked or what happened, but a treasure trove of Jeffrey Epstein stuff has been released to the public. Here's a little bit from Bloomberg, I believe. Bloomberg Business got a hold of, a ton of documents.
Question: which one do you prefer?
So this is from Jeffrey Epstein to G Max, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, 2008.
Lewd and lascivious conduct or procuring minors for prostitution? I suppose lewd and lascivious conduct. I would prefer lewd and lascivious conduct with a prostitute if possible. That exchange between...
It's a crazy thing to email someone, by the way. Epstein, isn't that a crazy thing to email?
That exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on May 23rd, 2008 is part of some 18,000 emails from Epstein's personal Yahoo account obtained by Bloomberg News.
The emails, which suggest the inbox was most active between 2005 and 2008, include messages spanning 2002 to 2022. Epstein died in 2019, and emails received after that are largely spam or marketing offers. Overall, the emails offer a raw look into the disgraced financier and sex offender's world.
While this inbox wasn't the only one he used, the newly uncovered emails do suggest how central Maxwell was to his life. Something that contradicts...
Surprise, surprise. Once again, discrediting the idea that Jeffrey Epstein was some sort of like master manipulator, genius businessman. Most of the business was being conducted by Ghislaine Maxwell.
Her telling of events. She's characterized herself as a former girlfriend and property manager for Epstein, not someone with eyes into his vast influence machine or sex trafficking operation. She's currently serving a 20-year sentence for conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors. Maxwell was central to curating Epstein's inner circle, according
and she was central to the Mossad.
To these emails. In some emails, she's organizing visits with the likes of Sergey Brin and his then girlfriend.
Sergey Brin, which is a executive at Google, I think. Let's look it up. Sergey Brin. I think he's an ex-CEO of... Co-founder of Google with Larry Page. And then the other one is Ann Wojcicki. So if you know Ann, she is the creator of YouTube, I believe. Ann Wojcicki. No, she's the sister of the lady who's created YouTube. Susan Wojcicki is the CEO of YouTube, and Anne is the CEO of 23andMe. That's very important because recently, Susan, her sister, her son recently died, and then she mysteriously died in her sleep.
And Ann Wojcicki. Sergey and Ann arrive tomorrow.
So this is Ghislaine Maxwell to Jeffrey Epstein. And the thing says, Sergey and Ann arrive from...
and stay till second. Be very nice to her, not stupid. She is interested in mapping DNA, etc. She is key.
It's a very interesting smiley face at the end of that too. She is interested in mapping DNA, etc. She is key. So she is CEO of 23andMe. But, you know, these kinds of people are obsessed with DNA and like bloodline stuff. I think this goes back to they're trying to find out who's more pure than others, who is given power based on their bloodline, who's the most pure, who has a direct line to whatever. I don't know if it goes as far back to like David and the Canaanites or Cain and Abel, or which side you're on and stuff. But I think that there's a lot about DNA that they don't let us know or anything like that.
Although the inbox contains no messages confirming Anne was on the island, Epstein wrote to an assistant just days later that he was there with Brink.
Notably, Maxwell also oversaw some of Epstein's gift giving. In the emails, we discovered a spreadsheet of gifts and payments, some lavish, like $60,000 diamond ear clips and a necklace, a $47,000 Steinway piano, and a $71,000 car, as he curried favor with our elite and powerful. The ledger doesn't make clear whether the gifts were accepted by their intended recipients. And all this was happening at a time when Maxwell has said she wasn't in regular contact with Epstein. These emails cut through the image of a scapegoat and simple house manager that
I mean, imagine Ghislaine Maxwell being a scapegoat.
Maxwell has worked tirelessly to present. And while they're not the definitive record of Epstein's story, they open a rare window into his life.
So 16,000 emails, and I'm going to comb through that. And recently his, more Epstein stuff. It's unfortunate that this much Epstein stuff came on the back of such a tragedy, but it is important to kind of bring up his birthday notebook. I don't know if I uploaded them or not. Let me double check. Because it has a lot of strange, like, yeah, here's a letter. So this is with SB to JE, which is Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey, thank you for joining us here. I think this is something Brannon, maybe? Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey, thanks for joining us here. What is a hedge fund manager? Jeffrey Epstein, are you asking me a question because you think I'm a hedge fund manager? I'd much rather be called a PDF file than a hedge fund manager. Which is, a cheeky joke. Jeffrey Epstein saying that he would rather be a pedophile than a hedge fund manager. And then Steve Bannon, SB, says, you've never been a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein, never. Steve, you've been called the international man of mystery, the talented Mr. Epstein, but nobody can put a finger on how actually you make a living. How do you make a living? Jeffrey Epstein, I give people advice on what to do with their money. Who are your clients? I don't talk about my clients. I assume extremely wealthy individuals when you say give them advice on investments, on taxes, security, philanthropy, estate planning. So everything. Yacht buying, Jeffrey Epstein. At this level of wealth, we're talking about yachts are usually built to specifications. But let me explain. At a certain level of wealth, probably above $200 million, but let's say above $1 billion, you are going to encounter a range of issues never encountered by human beings. In short, you can't spend your money. You can't give it to your children, and you can't give it to charity. Instead of money solving all manner of problems, it creates all manner of problems. You realize how that sounds. Do you work for third world dictators? Do you know where the money that you manage comes from? Was it taken by corrupt means or worse? Conversation with Jeffrey Epstein. Here's a letter from Jeffrey Epstein. This is from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein for his birthday. This is a collection of what's called the birthday messages. So this is voiceover, and this is a letter signed by Donald Trump. It says, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is, Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do. Come to think about it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. You may, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Very, very concerning, I will say. Here's another strange message Jeffrey Epstein received. My dear Jeffrey, and this has a redacted sender. Dear Jeffrey, I can write about how I want to cut you into bird head pieces and chew them between my molars until I suck all the blood and juice out of you. No stew, just raw. Or I can write about how you never cease to amaze me with your kindness and generosity to so many whose lives you've touched in several ways. Thank you for taking me to gospel. Don't know what that means. Sounds coded. Most importantly, I can tell you how happy I am to simply you make me by simply being you. Yet no words would suffice to capture what you really mean to me. I am very lucky to have you in my life and hope that you know I will be there for you if you ever need me. Happy birthday, redacted. P.S. Please do not share. So there's a ton more. Here's a photograph of Jeffrey Epstein with, I don't know who this is. And I don't know who that is. Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women, sells fully depreciated blank to Donald Trump for $22,000. Fully depreciated to Donald Trump. Showed people skills too. Even though I handled the deal, I don't get any of the money on the call. It's a little bit hard to read, but also concerning. I mean, there's thousands. I think there's 250 pages, but like thousands of just like documents and quotes and stuff like that to go through. So I'm gonna try to get to some of those for the next one. So, yeah, we'll finish off with some of these TikToks here. Let's watch this one. This is by this one's actually pretty insane. This is an ad that this girl got on the radio. It's insane.
The rise of anti-Semitism around the world like never before. For many poor elderly Jews, their dream of making Aliyah one day and coming home to Israel is extremely difficult, if not impossible. But you can change all of that today for one precious Jew.
I really hope that this is if this is fake, might be one of the funniest like fake commercials of all time. I just keep on imagining that one girl from the arms of an angel. For one payment of $25, you can help one elderly Jew reach Israel.
Even in a time of war, the safety and shalom of moving to Israel under God's protection and his covenant promise to bring his chosen people home is why we're asking you today to partner with us. The cost to rescue one Jew and purchase a seat on an upcoming Fellowship Aliyah Freedom Flight is $710. $710. With a donation to the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews of $35, you'll help one poor elderly Jew live a life.
I cannot believe this. One plane ticket to reach Jerusalem costs $710. But your small donation of $35 can help one old elderly Jew reach his promised land.
Of $35, you'll help one poor elderly Jew out of a life of hopelessness and anti-Semitism to start a brand new life in Israel. Here's how you can reach 800-342-0044.
Should I call that number right now? Oh shit, I kind of want to. All right, give me a second. Let me get the phone number down. All right. Well, they put me on hold for like 5 minutes, so I'm not even going to do that. I was going to ask how many Jews can I send? Can I pick which ones? It was going to be good, but okay. We'll have to just continue on with TikTok time, I guess. Here's a meeting, which I assume is just like a dick-sucking meeting for Donald Trump. He invited a bunch of billionaires over, and they're all like... so very nice of you.
Thanks for hosting us. I mean, this is quite a group to get together.
Here's Mark Zuckerberg.
And, I think, all of the companies here are building just making huge investments in the country.
Thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
I want to thank you for
evil. Dude, the amount of evil at this table is insane.
including me this evening. It's incredible to be among everyone here, particularly you and the First Lady.
Thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. It's
Sam
a
Altman.
very refreshing change. We're very excited to see what you're doing to make all of our companies and our entire country so successful.
And then here he is talking with, I mean, I don't even know what this means. This is Mark Zuckerberg like, well, I didn't really know how much to ask. He's like, this point, it's looking like Mark Zuckerberg's kind of just a puppet for, I don't know who. I don't want to make any sort of guesses at who he's maybe a puppet for.
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
That's a lot. Thank you, Mark.
afterwards.
It's great to have you.
He's having a hot mic. I wasn't ready to do it.
I wasn't sure what number you wanted to go with.
I wasn't sure what number you wanted me to go with. Like, do any of these people do anything? Do any of these people do anything? I really don't know. All right, let's watch a couple funny ones because this is well, I guess.
Hi guys.
This is Cardi B asking for money.
So like, one of my parents, they got arrested, and I cannot afford bail because I just paid for my son's.
I mean, how much is bail if Cardi B can't pay it? What did her parents do?
Baseball uniform. Anyways, so I guess you guys have to help me and buy more CDs. I got this one. This is the golf version. I got the courtrooms editions.
So I mean, she might just be selling.
They're pretty.
She might just be trying to plug shit. Yeah. So still funny. Good bit. All right. We'll close this out with this is Charles. Charles from MDE. $1 Million Extreme or Extreme Peace. And this is him talking about the world. This was from a long time ago, I think, but it's a good thing.
Things happen in this world that don't even happen in hell. So it's a battlefield beyond your imagination. It's not greed or just a simple power. It's not that. It's not even remotely that. Those are human concerns. You know, those are human concerns. There are concerns that are beyond your sphere of knowledge, but they are not beyond your sphere of influence.
I think we should all take that and keep that in our minds as we go forward here. This is a spiritual war, and I'm not talking Christianity or anything like that. I'm talking spiritual on the level of energy, negative, positive, and just affecting how things affect the world and the collective consciousness. There's a battle being fought right now in the collective consciousness, I think, and I think there's a C.K. Lewis quote. He says, "When I die, I hope the devils rejoice, let me look it up real quick. Here it is. My prayer is that when I die, all of hell rejoices, that I am out of the fight." So, guys, keep that in mind as we go forward. And remember, I couldn't really find out what song to play at the end here, so it doesn't really feel like there's anything right to play, so let's play this one.
Amen.